What's up friends, Steve from ThunderStash Gaming, and I've been making most anticipated game lists just like this since the 1990s, and somehow 2026 might be the most stacked year that I've ever put together. This list is the result of years of digging through announcements, watching indie game showcases, following developer updates, and playing early builds and hands-on previews. And that matters because a lot of the games you are about to see are ones that I've been following for years that are finally scheduled to land. Now, this isn't just a list of the biggest games that everyone already knows about. It is a curated breakdown of 100 upcoming games, including hidden gems you may have never heard of, but they absolutely deserve your attention. And as you're watching, please let me know in the comments which games you're most excited for, whether you discovered anything new today, and which games that you think I might have missed, but just remember, this is my most anticipated list. So without further ado, let's find out why 2026 is going to be absolutely insane. Code Violet. Code Violet is a survival horror with teeth. Set inside a decaying biofacility, crawling with grotesque creatures, this one leans hard into the tension, limited resources, and atmosphere-first design. Team Kill Media isn't trying to reinvent survival horror here, they're refining it. Everything I've seen points to slower, more methodical pacing, where every encounter matters, and if you miss classic horror that actually makes you feel vulnerable, Code Violet is absolutely one to watch. Animal Crossing New Horizons Switch 2 Edition. Animal Crossing New Horizons is getting a Switch 2 Edition, and it's arriving alongside a massive free 3.0 update on January 15th that applies to both Switch 1 and Switch 2 players. The 3.0 update adds a resort hotel for designing guest rooms, huge quality of life upgrades like expanded storage, up to 9,000 items, bulk crafting, Mr. Resetty's reset service, new Slumber Islands, and Nintendo-themed collaborations tied to Amiibo and NSO. The Switch 2 edition layers on top of that with 4K resolution, faster load times, Joy-Con mouse controls for decorating, a microphone-enabled megaphone to call villagers, and support for up to 12 players online. Same cozy core, but smoother, faster, and more flexible than ever. The Legend of Heroes Trails Beyond the Horizon. Trails Beyond the Horizon is a massive moment for longtime fans of the series. This is Falcom continuing its legendary interconnected storytelling with deep political intrigue, huge character arcs, and turn-based combat that keeps evolving with each entry. This series has always rewarded patience and attention, and this feels like another major step forward for the Trails universe. If world building is your thing, this is one of 2026's most important RPGs. Mio Memories in Orbit. Mio is a striking sci-fi Metroidvania built around exploration, movement, and mystery. You play as Mio, a nimble robot navigating the vessel, a massive technological ark that's fallen into decay, overgrown with rogue machines and forgotten systems. The world is fully interconnected, packed with environmental storytelling, lost memories, and secrets buried deep within its structure. With wall climbing, aerial movement, and combat abilities you can customize to your playstyle, this looks like a focused, atmospheric experience built around discovery and flow, and I personally cannot wait for this game because I have been following it since it was first announced. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. Final Fantasy VII Remake is finally coming to Nintendo hardware, and this is a huge moment. Final Fantasy VII is a top 3 RPG of all time for me, and for a lot of people, it's the game that defined the genre. Yet, for decades, it was missing from Nintendo platforms entirely. Seeing this modern reimagining finally land here, complete with Intergrade upgrades and the Yuffie episode, feels genuinely full circle. It's a historic return and one that absolutely matters, and I cannot recommend this game enough. Escape from Ever After. Escape from Ever After is a genre-bending RPG that immediately stood out to me. Inspired by classic Paper Mario-style design, it mixes charming visuals, clever writing, and turn-based combat with modern twists that give it real personality. On the surface, it looks light and playful, but there's clearly more depth here the longer you look at it, and that's what I've noticed so far in my early playthrough. This is exactly the kind of game that sneaks up on people, creative, funny, and quietly ambitious. I hate this place. I hate this place immediately hit me in the nostalgia, and that's probably because I'm an 80s kid. This game gives me Stranger Things, Resident Evil, Parasite Eve, and The Last of Us vibes, but filtered through a gritty comic book style 80s horror lens. It's an isometric, craft-based survival horror game where sound matters just as much as sight. Enemies literally hunt you by noise, so brute force isn't always the answer. You'll scavenge during the day, fortify your camp, and then pray you're ready when night falls, because that's when things get truly terrifying. The bold comic art style, the warped reality, and that heavy 80s horror atmosphere makes this one stand out in a big way. If you love survival horror with personality, I Hate This Place should absolutely be on your radar. Code Vein 2. Code Vein 2 is one that I've already spent real time with. I played roughly 3 hours during an early access event in LA, and it left a very strong impression. This sequel builds on the original's anime-inspired Souls-like foundation with tighter combat, more refined systems, and a darker tone. It feels more confident in what it wants to be, and from what I've played, this isn't just more Code Vein. It's a meaningful step forward for the series, and I cannot wait to get my hands back on this. Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. Dragon Quest VII Reimagined looks incredibly special, especially visually. What really stands out is the art direction. The fact that the series' iconic promotional artwork can now be fully realized inside the actual game itself is pretty insane to me. That beautiful storybook style finally feels playable, not just illustrative. Dragon Quest VII has always been massive in scope, and with modern visuals and quality of life improvements, this reimagining has the potential to elevate a classic in a way that feels both respectful and exciting for longtime fans. And again, this is another one that I cannot wait to get my hands on. Nioh 3. Nioh 3 looks ready to push Team Ninja's brutal action RPG formula even further. Building on the fast, technical combat this series is known for, this entry appears to double down on depth, challenge, and player expression. The Nioh games have always rewarded mastery, and everything shown so far suggests this is the most refined version yet. If you love demanding combat, systems that constantly test your skill, Nioh 3 should be high on your list. Romeo is a Dead Man. Romeo is a Dead Man is pure grasshopper manufactured chaos, and that's exactly why it's exciting. This is stylish, violent, over-the-top action with a heavy dose of attitude, blending flashy combat with surreal presentation. Grasshopper doesn't make safe games, and that's what I appreciate about them. This looks like another project built around shock, spectacle, and personality. If you miss unapologetically weird action games that feel like nothing else, keep your eyes on this game. Mario Tennis Fever. Mario Tennis Fever is exciting because it looks like it's finally leaning into what fans really want. Adventure mode is back, giving players a structured, single-player experience instead of just exhibition matches. On top of that, there are 38 different rackets with unique stats, characters with their own strengths and weaknesses, and a real emphasis on depth and customization. If Camelot nails the feel, this could be the most content-rich, and replayable Mario Tennis we've had in years, and again, I cannot wait to get my hands on this game. Yakuza Kiwami 3 plus Dark Ties. Yakuza Kiwami 3 plus Dark Ties feels like a long overdue moment for the series. This is a full remake of one of the most important Yakuza entries, rebuilt with modern visuals, refined combat, and new story content that helps better connect it to the rest of the saga. Yakuza 3 has always been a turning point for the main character, and seeing it fully reimagined, not just remastered, makes this an essential release for both longtime fans and newcomers. High on Life 2. High on Life 2 looks ready to double down on everything that made the original stand out. Absurd humor, talking weapons, and a chaotic sci-fi world collide again, but this time with more confidence and bigger scope. The first game proved there's an audience for comedy-driven shooters that don't take themselves so seriously, and this sequel looks sharper, louder, and more self-aware. If the writing lands, this could easily be one of the most memorable shooters of the year. Reanimal. Reanimal immediately grabs attention with its unsettling tone and striking presentation. Coming from the creators of Little Nightmares, this looks like another deeply atmospheric experience built around tension, environmental storytelling, and surreal horror imagery. The world feels hostile, strange, and intentionally uncomfortable in all the right ways. If you're into games that rely on mood and visual storytelling rather than constant dialogue, Reanimal is shaping up to be something special. Virtual Boy Nintendo Switch Online. Virtual Boy coming to NSO is one of the most unexpected and honestly fascinating announcements Nintendo has made in years. This is Nintendo officially bringing back one of their most misunderstood systems, complete with its iconic red and black visuals, preserved and playable on modern hardware. Love it or hate it, Virtual Boy is a real piece of Nintendo history, and yes, I will be reviewing it on my channel. I'm genuinely excited to revisit these games with fresh eyes and see how they hold up today, because for a lot of people, including myself, this will be their first real chance to actually experience the Virtual Boy outside of testing it out at a Best Buy demo unit back in 1995, and then before you know it, it was off store shelves. Ys Memoir Revelations in Calcutta. Ys Memoir Revelations in Calcutta is a welcome return to one of Adol's standout adventures. This enhanced version brings visual upgrades, improved performance, and modern quality of life changes, while preserving the fast, satisfying action the series has always been known for. Calcutta has always been an important chapter in the Ys lore, and seeing it refreshed for modern platforms makes it far more accessible. For action RPG fans, this is classic Ys done right, and it's available exclusively on the Nintendo Switch. Ys X Proud Nordics. Ys X Proud Nordics feels like Falcom refining one of its most exciting recent entries. With its naval exploration, dual protagonist combat, and faster paced action, this version looks like the definitive way to experience Ys X. And I did get to play Ys X Proud Nordics on the Nintendo Switch at PAX West last year, and just in my short hands-on time with it, I could not wait to play it again. Between the setting and tone, this really gives this series a fresh identity while still staying true to its roots. If you're an Ys fan or looking for an action RPG that moves fast and respects your time, this one absolutely belongs on your radar. Tales of Berseria Remastered. Tales of Berseria Remastered gives one of the franchise's darkest and most character-driven stories a second life. This entry is remembered for its morally complex cast, revenge-driven narrative, and fluid combat system that still feels great today. With visual upgrades and modern enhancements, Berseria has a real chance to reach a new audience while reminding longtime fans why it stands out within the Tales series. This is a smart and welcome remaster. Resident Evil 7 Switch 2 Edition. Resident Evil 7 on Switch 2 is a huge deal. This is one of the first time Capcom's modern survival horror reboot is playable on Nintendo hardware in its full form, not the cloud form. The Switch 2 edition includes all the DLC, delivering the complete experience with improved visuals and performance. Resident Evil 7's grounded first-person horror, tight resource management, and relentless tension brought the series back to its roots, and experiencing it on Nintendo Switch 2 makes this one of the most important horror additions to the platform, and this is a game that I've beat, but I will be revisiting it on Switch 2. Resident Evil Village Switch 2 Edition. Resident Evil Village on Switch 2 continues that momentum, and again, this is the full package. You're getting the base game plus all DLC, including additional story content, making this the most definitive version on Nintendo hardware. Village expands on Resident Evil 7 with more variety, larger environments, and a blend of gothic horror and action. Whether it's your first time or a return trip like it will be for me, this Switch 2 edition finally brings one of the franchise's most ambitious entries to Nintendo players. Resident Evil 9 Requiem. Resident Evil 9 already feels special, and the timing makes it hit even harder because this also marks 30 years of Resident Evil, and it's crazy because I was there when it all started in 1996. I actually played Resident Evil 9 at PAX West, and I will just say this: very few people have had hands-on time with it, and all I wanted to do was keep playing. It feels confident, tense, and incredibly focused. The story brings together FBI analyst Grace Ashcroft and the legend himself, Leon S. Kennedy, with their journeys and distinct gameplay styles weaving into something intense and emotional. A new chapter, a major anniversary, and a franchise that defines survival horror. This one hits on every level, and again, all three of these are coming out on Nintendo Switch 2 on the same day. Nevergrave, The Witch and the Curse. Nevergrave, The Witch and the Curse is a stylish blend of Metroidvania exploration and roguelite structure. You play as a cursed witch, navigating a beautifully illustrated world filled with challenging enemies and constantly shifting runs. What makes this stand out is how it mixes charm with tension. Every run feels meaningful, and progression is baked directly into experimentation. If you enjoy action platformers that reward mastery and adaptability, this one looks very promising. Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Remake. Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Remake brings one of the most beloved horror games of all time back in modern form. This entry has always been remembered for its oppressive atmosphere, emotional storytelling, and the unique camera obscura mechanic that forces you to confront fear head on. A full remake gives this classic the chance to reach a new audience while preserving what made it so unforgettable. If you love slow burn psychological horror, this is a massive release for 2026. Replaced. Replaced is a game that I've been following for years, and every time it reappears, it continues to impress. This is a cinematic pixel art action platformer set in a gritty cyberpunk world, blending fluid combat, striking animation, and heavy atmosphere. Think Blade Runner. The development time really shows here. Everything feels deliberate and polished. When a project stays on your radar this long and keeps raising expectations, that's usually a sign something very special is coming, and I cannot wait to get my hands on this game. Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection looks like a major step forward for the spin-off series. The scope feels larger, the world more ambitious, and the RPG systems deeper than ever before. Now, this isn't just a light Monster Hunter offshoot. It is a full-fledged RPG that builds on creature bonding, strategic combat, and a long-term progression. If you enjoy Monster Hunter, but want a more story-driven experience, this one feels like it's leveling up in a huge way. Crimson Desert. Crimson Desert is one I had a private meeting for at PAX West with the developer Pearl Abyss, and it left a very strong impression on all of us. This is a massive open-world action RPG with very high production values, intense combat, and a world that feels dense and reactive. From everything shown and discussed, this is an ambitious project aiming to blend cinematic storytelling with freedom-driven gameplay. If Pearl Abyss delivers on that vision, which again from what I played, it feels like they're going to, Crimson Desert could be one of the most talked about games of 2026. Mouse PI for Hire. Mouse PI for Hire grabbed my attention instantly with its style alone. Inspired by 1930s rubber hose animation, think Cuphead, this first-person shooter oozes personality, blending noir vibes with fast-paced action. But it's not just a visual gimmick. The gunplay looks sharp, the tone is confident, and the presentation feels completely unique. This is the kind of game that stands out in a crowded year simply by being bold and different, and I cannot wait to finally get my hands on this. This game was supposed to come out in 2025, and it slipped to 2026, so hopefully we get to play this pretty early this year. Edge of Memories. Edge of Memories immediately grabbed my attention because of the talent behind it. With developers who've worked on Chrono Trigger, Xenoblade Chronicles, and Noir, this isn't just another new IP, it's a project backed by serious creative pedigree. That alone made me stop and pay attention. Combine that with action-driven combat and a strong narrative focus, and this feels like a passion project with real potential to surprise people. Volunteer the Ascension. Volunteer the Ascension wears its inspirations proudly, drawing from Elden Ring, Breath of the Wild, and classic Metroidvanias, but it blends those ideas into something cohesive. The hand-drawn art style is gorgeous, and the world looks expansive, interconnected, and filled with secrets. This is a game that clearly values exploration, challenge, and player freedom. For fans of modern action RPGs with a strong artistic identity, this one looks very promising. Gothic 1 Remake. Gothic 1 Remake is a big moment for classic RPG fans. The original Gothic was known for its unforgiving world, player agency, and gritty atmosphere, and this remake aims to preserve that identity while modernizing visuals and controls. This isn't about smoothing off every rough edge, it's about respecting what made Gothic special in the first place. For longtime fans, this feels like a careful and respectful revival. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, Dragon Pearl of Destruction. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe is one that I played at PAX West, and it honestly surprised me with how great it felt. The combat is weighty, responsive, and satisfying, and the art style just really captures that classic Saturday morning cartoon energy while still feeling modern. This isn't just nostalgia bait, they've played it really well. If you grew up with He-Man, this has the potential to be a genuinely fun throwback that respects the source material, and it might turn out to be that He-Man game we always wanted as kids. Lifted. Lifted is a narrative-driven adventure that leans into humor, personality, and relatable chaos. You play as Ari, an accidental stoner hero navigating a strange, grounded world full of oddball characters and awkward situations. The writing and tone feel like the real draw here, focusing on character moments rather than high-stakes spectacle. This is one of those games that could quietly win people over through charm alone. Saint Slayer: Spear of Sacrilege. Saint Slayer is a love letter to classic NES-era action games like Castlevania, which, as you guys know, I love my Castlevania. This is a brutal, old-school 2D action platformer with tight controls, punishing enemies, and a dark gothic tone. Everything about it, from the visuals to the difficulty, is designed to feel authentically retro without sacrificing modern polish. If you grew up on games that didn't pull their punches, Saint Slayer looks like it understands exactly what made that era so special, and cannot wait to play this one. Superstation 1. Superstation 1, and I'm not talking about TBS, the channel. This is one of the most fascinating projects on this list because it's not a traditional game at all. This is an affordable, open source FPGA console designed to preserve classic gaming hardware accurately. For anyone who cares about preservation, authenticity, and long-term access to retro games, this is a big deal. It's not flashy, but it represents something incredibly important for the future of gaming history, and I do have this pre-ordered, and honestly it should be shipping any day, so you can look forward to coverage of that and the Analog 3D on my channel soon. Little Nemo and the Guardians of Slumberland. Little Nemo and the Guardians of Slumberland brings a classic NES icon back in a modern way. Inspired by Little Nemo, the Dream Master made by Capcom, this reimagining expands the dreamlike world with new mechanics, visuals, and exploration. The original was beloved for its creativity, and this looks like a respectful evolution that keeps that whimsical identity intact. If you have nostalgia for classic platformers, this one feels like a dream worth revisiting. The Toxic Crusaders. The Toxic Crusaders is one that I played at PAX West, and I absolutely loved it. This is a side-scrolling beat-em-up that fully embraces its absurd, over-the-top roots with colorful visuals, chunky combat, and pure Saturday morning cartoon energy. It knows exactly what it is, and it leans into it hard. If you grew up on arcade beat-em-ups and want something fun, chaotic, and unapologetically weird, this one rules. Suikoden Starleap. Suikoden Starleap is a really interesting one, and yes, it earns its spot here. Suikoden is one of the all-time great RPG series, and earlier this year I actually reviewed the Suikoden 1 HD 2D remake on the channel for Nintendo Switch 2, so my love for this franchise runs deep. Starleap is a free-to-play RPG coming to PC and mobile, and while it does include gacha mechanics, the developers have been very clear. The entire core game is playable without spending money, which is what I like to hear. The full story and all 108 new Stars of Destiny can be earned through normal gameplay. The gacha side is focused on optional crossover characters from past Suikoden games and cosmetic variants, which I'll be honest with you, I don't care about cosmetic variants in games. Now, as far as past characters, maybe I'll explore that, maybe I won't. It just depends, and hey, you know what, if the price is right, maybe I will, but if I can play the whole game for free, I like that. So this excites me because this feels like Konami is testing the waters and funding the future of Suikoden. If Starleap does well, I fully expect it to land on consoles and hopefully open the door to a true new mainline entry. Pragmata. Pragmata is one of Capcom's most intriguing new IPs. This is a science fiction action adventure built around mystery, isolation, and a strange partnership between its two protagonists. Over the years, Capcom has been quiet but deliberate with this game, and that restraint only makes it more fascinating. Between the unique setting and Capcom's track record, Pragmata feels like a project they're taking very seriously, and that alone makes it worth watching. And again, I cannot wait to play this one. Clockwork Ambrosia. Clockwork Ambrosia is one of those games that perfectly represents why I make videos like this. It's not a big name release everyone's already talking about. It's a dense steampunk Metroidvania with immersive sim elements that look genuinely cool and thoughtfully designed. The focus on player choice, experimentation, and systems-driven exploration makes it feel different from the pack. This is exactly the kind of game that deserves more attention early. Saros. Saros immediately grabbed my attention because this is coming from Housemarque, the studio behind Returnal, one of the most intense, atmospheric, and mechanically tight action games of the last generation. This very much feels like a spiritual successor in tone, ambition, and it leans into that fast, precise combat, oppressive atmosphere, and that signature sense of mystery Housemarque does so well. If you loved Returnal, or even respected it from afar, Saros is absolutely one to keep on your radar. This is a studio that doesn't miss, and I'm incredibly excited to see how they evolve that formula here. 007 First Light. 007 First Light is exciting for a very simple reason. It's James Bond, and it's built by the team behind Hitman. This is a reimagining of Bond's early days, blending espionage, stealth, and cinematic action. IO Interactive's experience with sandbox-driven stealth makes them a perfect fit for the license. If this delivers on that combination of freedom, style, and spy fantasy, it could finally give us the modern Bond game that fans have been waiting for. Wandering Sword. Wandering Sword is one that I've already spent time with on PC, and it absolutely earned its spot here. This is a beautifully crafted Chinese RPG that blends classic turn-based combat with real-time movement in a way that feels both strategic and fluid. The world building, character interactions, and sense of progression are standout elements. If this version brings that experience cleanly to consoles, Wandering Sword has serious sleeper hit potential. LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight looks like a confident evolution of the LEGO formula. The free-flow combat clearly takes inspiration from the Arkham games, while still keeping the humor and accessibility LEGO games are known for. This feels like a love letter to Batman's legacy across eras, blending action, puzzle solving, and fan service. If you grew up with both LEGO games and Batman, this one feels tailor-made and is definitely a day one pickup for me. H-Field High Rock the School. H-Field High Rock the School looks like a modern-day love letter to Rockstar's Bully. Set in a high school environment packed with attitude, humor, and personality, this game leans into rebellion, rock music, the 2000s, and social chaos. It's clearly inspired by a specific era of games that don't really exist anymore, and that alone makes it interesting for me. If it nails its tone, this could be a real cult favorite. Mariachi Legends. Mariachi Legends shot up my list the moment I learned about its creative inspiration. The developers have openly cited Castlevania Symphony of the Night as a key influence, and that immediately matters because Symphony of the Night holds a special place in my heart and in gaming history as a whole. You can see that DNA in the exploration, atmosphere, and sense of discovery, all wrapped in a vibrant world inspired by Mexican folklore and music. When a game pulls from something that iconic and brings its own cultural identity to the table, that's when I really start paying attention, and again, cannot wait to get my hands on this. South of Midnight. South of Midnight is a new action-adventure IP that immediately stands out for its atmosphere and tone. Drawing heavily from Southern folklore, this game blends dark fantasy, music, and storytelling into a very distinct identity. The world feels moody, grounded, and culturally rich in a way that's rarely explored in games. This is one of those projects that feels intentionally different, and that alone makes it worth watching closely on Nintendo Switch 2. Now, this did come out on Xbox, and I played it for a little bit, and in my time with it, I really enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to fully diving in on Nintendo Switch. Super Mario Wonder Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Meetup in Bella Bell Park. Super Mario Bros. Wonder on Switch 2 is exciting because this game already proved how creative 2D Mario can still be. The Wonder effects completely redefined how unpredictable and joyful a Mario level can feel. Experiencing that creativity with Switch 2 enhancements makes this an easy inclusion. This is Mario at its most playful, imaginative, and confident, and it still feels fresh. Then we have all the new content from Bella Bell Park that, we're still going to learn about. So this is very exciting. Can't wait to play that, and I'm guessing it's going to come out right around the time the Mario Galaxy movie hits theaters. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book immediately grabbed my attention because Yoshi's Island on the Super Nintendo is still my favorite Yoshi game of all time, and that was 1995. This new entry looks like it understands what made that game special. Expressive animation, creative level design, and pure charm. If this leans into that legacy while introducing new mechanics and ideas and hopefully some difficulty options, it could be something really special for longtime Yoshi fans. Alterium Shift. Alterium Shift is a game that's especially close to me because this isn't just one I'm excited for. I backed it on Kickstarter and later got to sit down and play it myself at PAX West 2025 with the development team. It's a love letter to classic Super Nintendo RPGs like Chrono Trigger and Secret of Mana, built in a gorgeous 2.5D style with branching character paths and turn-based combat featuring combo attacks. What really stood out during my hands-on time was how quickly it pulled me in, even on a noisy show floor. And if you want to see more, I've got a full hands-on preview up on the channel with about 20 minutes of my gameplay. And Alterium Shift is targeting the first half of 2026. So if you're an RPG fan, this is absolutely one to keep on your radar. Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. Tomodachi Life Living the Dream is finally bringing the series back. And honestly, this is one of Nintendo's weirdest and most charming games. This is a social simulation where you populate an island with Miis based on friends, family, or celebrities, then sit back and watch their unpredictable lives unfold. They make friends, fight, fall in love, get married, have kids, and sometimes have absolutely bizarre dreams. The Switch version expands customization, gives you more influence over relationships, and keeps that digital aquarium feel where there's no real end goal, just endless, often hilarious moments. It's launching in spring 2026, and I'm genuinely excited to see this series make a proper comeback. Shade Protocol. Shade Protocol is a 2D cyber fantasy Metroidvania that immediately stood out to me because of how ambitious and different it looks. You play as Zora, a prototype replica in a dying world overtaken by a sentient metal called Elythium, and the core hook here is that you can rewrite reality itself. You seamlessly swap between Dawn and Shade forms, changing your combat style on the fly while wielding musical instruments as weapons, things like spears, axes, and chakrams that each play differently in combat and exploration. This is precision, skill-based combat with parries, counters, and high-speed movement layered with an interconnected world and a story that reacts to your choices through something called the Unison system. It's coming to PC in spring 2026, and guys, I'm sure if it does well, it'll come to consoles too, but that is not confirmed. If you're into Metroidvanias with style, depth, strong identity, and obviously some new gameplay mechanics, Shade Protocol is absolutely one to keep on your radar. Phantom Blade Zero. Phantom Blade Zero continues to look absolutely stunning. This is a stylish fusion of Chinese martial arts, dark fantasy, and lightning-fast action combat that feels incredibly deliberate and precise. Every animation looks handcrafted, and the combat emphasizes timing, positioning, and mastery over button mashing. This isn't just flashy, it looks mechanically deep, and that combination makes Phantom Blade Zero one of the most exciting action games on the horizon. Grand Theft Auto 6. Grand Theft Auto 6 doesn't really need an introduction, right? But its impact can't be overstated. This is Rockstar returning with the most anticipated game of all time, and expectations couldn't be higher. Everything points to a massive, living open world with deeper systems, stronger narrative focus, and an unprecedented level of detail. Love it or hate it, GTA 6 is going to define the conversation the moment it launches. And so I guess we'll just have to see if it ends up launching this year on November 19th or if it gets extended out into 2027. Either way, I'm okay with it. I don't get upset with delays. As we can see, there's already a ton of games coming out in 2026. Ananta. Ananta immediately stands out because it's already being dubbed the anime Grand Theft Auto. And coming right after GTA 6, that contrast is impossible to ignore. This is a free-to-play, open-world action RPG set in a dense urban city, blending classic GTA-style chaos, car theft, street combat, open-ended mayhem, but with a bold anime art style and fluid traversal that honestly gives off strong Spider-Man vibes. Now, what really caught my attention and why it's on this list is that the developers have been very clear. Ananta avoids gacha mechanics and predatory monetization, focusing instead on stylish combat, exploration, and character-driven storytelling. And you guys know I almost never cover free-to-play games on this channel, but if Ananta delivers on what it's promising, this could be a genuinely refreshing take on the open world formula. Silent Planet. Silent Planet is an exploration-focused gothic sci-fi adventure that leans hard into atmosphere and discovery. The world feels mysterious, somber, and intentionally quiet, encouraging players to piece together its story through environments rather than exposition. This looks like a game built for people who enjoy slow, thoughtful exploration and mood-driven storytelling. If you like games that let the world speak for itself, Silent Planet is worth watching closely. Ace Combat 8 Wings of Thief. Ace Combat 8 Wings of Thief is one I've had the chance to talk about directly with the team. I recorded a podcast with Bandai Namco on their official YouTube channel discussing the future of the series. That alone tells you how seriously this entry is being positioned. Ace Combat has always blended cinematic storytelling with arcade-style flight combat, and everything surrounding this release points to its most ambitious scope yet. With modern hardware pushing scale and spectacle even further, Ace Combat 8 feels like it's aiming to be the definitive modern entry. At Fate's End. At Fate's End is a new action-adventure game from Thunder Lotus Games, the studio behind Spiritfarer. This one immediately stands out because of its emotional focus. It's built around family, conflict, and personal loss, wrapped in stylish combat and striking art direction. Thunder Lotus has proven they know how to blend meaningful storytelling with strong gameplay, and this looks like another deeply personal project. If you value games that hit emotionally without sacrificing mechanics, this one feels special. Beast of Reincarnation. Beast of Reincarnation is one of the most unexpected projects on this list, coming from Game Freak in a completely different direction than most people expect from them. Set in a post-apocalyptic Japan, the game blends action RPG combat with a darker, more serious tone. The world looks hostile, mysterious, and full of ancient power. Seeing Game Freak step this far outside their comfort zone immediately makes this worth paying attention to. Bloodstained: The Scarlet Engagement. Bloodstained: The Scarlet Engagement is one I'm especially excited for. I loved Bloodstained: Ritual of the Night, and seeing the series continue in a more focused, refined direction feels like the right move. This entry leans harder into gothic atmosphere, exploration, and classic Metroidvania design, the exact DNA that made the original so beloved. If you're a fan of that style of game, this is an easy must-play. Chronoscript: The Endless End. Chronoscript: The Endless End immediately grabbed me because of its art style. It is absolutely wild. This is a stylish action RPG built around time manipulation, fast-paced combat, and a visually striking presentation that feels completely unique. The concept alone makes it stand out, but it's the confidence in its identity that really sells it. This looks like one of those games that refuses to blend in. Clockwork Revolution. Clockwork Revolution has been high on my radar since it was first revealed. This is a time-bending, first-person RPG with deep player choice, branching narratives, and a heavy emphasis on consequences. The steampunk setting looks fantastic, and knowing this is a day one Xbox Game Pass title only adds to its appeal. If you're into story-driven RPGs where your decisions actually matter, this one feels like a big swing. Constance. Constance is a game I've already reviewed on PC, and I was genuinely impressed by it. This is a beautifully hand-drawn 2D action-adventure with strong Metroidvania design, emotional storytelling, and a striking art style that really sticks with you. The reason it's on this list is simple. It's coming to consoles, and it's absolutely a game you won't want to miss when it does. If you want more detail, I already have a full, spoiler-free review up on the channel, but trust me, this one deserves your attention. Crowsworn. Crowsworn has been one of the most anticipated Metroidvanias for a long time now, and for good reason. Heavily inspired by Hollow Knight and Bloodborne, this game blends fast, precise combat with dark, gothic atmosphere. Every new look reinforces how polished and confident it feels. If you've been waiting for the next big Metroidvania to sink your teeth into, Crowsworn remains a top contender. Control Resonant. Control Resonant instantly has my attention because I loved the original so much that I actually platinumed the game on PlayStation 5, and that doesn't happen often. Remedy's surreal world building, reality-bending combat, and layered storytelling completely pulled me in, and this feels like a meaningful continuation of that universe. If this expands on those ideas while pushing the weird even further, I am all in. This is one of those games where my excitement comes from experience, not speculation. Darwin's Paradox. Darwin's Paradox is a fascinating one, especially coming from Konami, a company that, let's be honest, they've spent a lot of time making casino games these days. But hey, if that side of the business is helping fund creative projects like this, I say keep it up. You play as an octopus navigating a dangerous human world using stealth, intelligence, and environmental interaction instead of brute force. It's creative, different, and full of personality, exactly the kind of surprise I like seeing on a list like this. Deca Police. Deca Police is a game I've been excited about since its initial reveal. Developed by Level 5, this detective RPG blends investigation, storytelling, and a stylish anime presentation. The premise alone feels refreshing, and Level 5's track record with creative RPGs gives this real weight. If you enjoy narrative-driven games with mystery at their core, Deca Police looks like it could be a standout. Eden's Guardian. Eden's Guardian is a dark, challenging Metroidvania built around deep lore and precision gameplay. Set in a crumbling medieval fantasy world shaped by fallen gods and corrupted guardians, this one leans heavily into exploration, atmosphere, and storytelling. What really stands out is its unique traversal mechanic. You can throw your weapon, pin it to surfaces, and then teleport to it, opening up combat and movement in clever ways. If you love Metroidvanias with strong world building and tight mechanics, this one looks fantastic. Elden Ring Tarnished Edition. Elden Ring Tarnished Edition is an easy lock for me. I put over 150 hours into the PS5 version and earned the platinum back when I was still a director at Loan Depot Mortgage, so yeah, I made time for this because it was that good. I also played the Switch 2 version, both docked and handheld, at PAX West at a behind closed doors invite with Nintendo, and it honestly played just fine for the stage of development it was in, just like I said in my preview video. If you are curious how it runs, I have a full video up showing gameplay in both handheld and docked modes. For Switch 2 owners who enjoy Souls games, buy this. Have faith, this game will perform great when it's finally ready. Elementalist. Elementalist is a love letter to classic 2D Zelda, and that's exactly why it's on my radar. This is a top-down action-adventure built around elemental magic, dungeon exploration, puzzle solving, and a large overworld filled with distinct biomes. You'll restore lost elements, tackle handcrafted dungeons, and use elemental abilities to unlock new paths in a very Metroidvania-inspired way. If games like A Link to the Past still speak to you, Elementalist absolutely gets it. End of Abyss. End of Abyss is a dark, sci-fi, isometric action-adventure that leans hard into tension and atmosphere. You play as Cell, a combat technician investigating strange signals deep within a massive underground facility that's been overrun by grotesque creatures. The game blends twin-stick shooting, exploration, and horror influences reminiscent of Alien and Little Nightmares. This looks like a descent into madness in the best way possible. Enter the Gungeon 2. Enter the Gungeon 2 is a bold evolution of one of the best bullet hell roguelikes ever made. This sequel shifts to a full 3D art style while keeping the chaos, humor, and absurd weapon design this series is known for. Expect new Gungeoneers, new enemies, expanded systems, and even more ridiculous gun combinations. If you poured hours into the original, this looks like Dodge Roll confidently raising the ceiling. Fable. Fable finally coming back feels surreal. This is a full reboot of a legendary franchise that hasn't had a true mainline entry since Fable 3 in 2010. And no, I'm not counting the Fable that used the Xbox Kinect. Playground Games is reimagining Fable with modern visuals, deeper systems, and player choice once again at the center of the experience. I always thought Fable would be a flagship Xbox franchise forever, so seeing it return like this is exciting. If it captures the magic of the first two games especially, this could be something very special. Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave is the next major chapter for the series, and the setup alone is quite fascinating. Built around the Heroic Games, a gladiatorial event where warriors from all walks of life compete to have their wishes granted. This entry blends political intrigue with personal ambition. It also appears to be set in the world of Fodlan, but in a different era, which longtime fans will immediately recognize. If Intelligent Systems sticks the landing, this could be a standout Fire Emblem. Foolish Mortals. Foolish Mortals feels like it was made specifically for classic point-and-click adventure fans, drawing inspirations from Monkey Island, Broken Sword, Maniac Mansion, and even Disneyland's Haunted Mansion. This game leans into clever puzzle chains, strong writing, and gorgeous hand-drawn art. It's old school in the best ways, but with modern conveniences like an optional hint system. If you miss LucasArts-style adventures, this one feels like a true throwback. It's already available on PC, but it's on this list because it is coming to consoles in 2026. Gears of War E-Day. Gears of War E-Day takes us back to the very beginning. Set 14 years before the original game, this story follows Marcus Phoenix and Dom Santiago as humanity faces the Locust Horde for the first time. Built from the ground up in Unreal Engine 5, this is aiming for a darker, more grounded take on the franchise's origins. If you've ever wanted to experience Emergence Day firsthand, this is that moment. Halo Campaign Evolved. Halo Campaign Evolved is a faithful yet expanded remake of Halo Combat Evolved's campaign, rebuilt from the ground up. You're getting HD visuals, refined controls, 3 brand new prequel missions, expanded weapons and enemies, and up to 4-player online co-op with full crossplay. Whether you're returning after 25 years or playing Halo for the first time, this looks like a respectful modernization of one of the most important shooters ever made. Hella. Hella immediately grabbed me when I first saw it at the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase in July 2025. It instantly gave me Stuart Little and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids vibes, and I mean that in the best way possible. You play as a tiny mouse exploring a beautiful Scandinavian-inspired world solving puzzles, and helping restore a kind witch's health. The scale, charm, and heart here look fantastic. This just feels like one of those cozy, memorable adventures people are going to fall in love with. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is already one of my favorite indie stories ever. I beat it on Xbox when it released, reviewed it on the channel, and even said back in January 2025 that it would come to Switch 2, which of course it's set to release this year. For me, this is a top 3 Indiana Jones story, right behind Raiders and The Last Crusade. I'm excited to play it again on the Nintendo Switch 2, especially with the Order of the Giants DLC, which I decided I was going to save to play it on Nintendo Switch 2. And the Order of the Giants DLC dives into the Nephilim, something I personally studied for several years, so I cannot wait. Kingdom of Night. Kingdom of Night is here because I loved it on PC, and it's my responsibility to make sure people don't miss it when it comes to consoles. This is an 80s-inspired isometric action RPG set in Miami, Arizona, which, yes, that is a real town in my home state. It blends cosmic horror, coming-of-age drama, and Diablo-style combat in a way that feels totally unique. This game has heart, atmosphere, and tons of personality, and I'm thrilled that it's coming to consoles so more people can experience it. Kingdoms of the Dump. Kingdoms of the Dump is another game I reviewed on PC and absolutely adore. This is a Super Nintendo style JRPG set in a ridiculous garbage-themed fantasy world, and it's set in that world because this game was created by 2 full-time janitors, and that alone tells you how special this game is. You play as a trash can knight trying to clear his name while exploring bizarre kingdoms filled with charm, humor, and surprisingly thoughtful design. I'm genuinely excited that this is coming to consoles because more people need to play this game. Lords of the Fallen 2. Lords of the Fallen 2 looks like a confident step forward for the series. This is a dark fantasy action RPG built around brutal, Souls-like combat and a world split between the living and the dead. The dual realm concept gives exploration and combat real tension, and the environments look massive, oppressive, and dangerous. If this builds on what worked in the previous game while tightening its systems, this could be a strong entry for fans of the genre. Mina the Hollower. Mina the Hollower is one I'm incredibly excited about. I previewed it on the channel last year, and I also had an hour-long private meeting with Yacht Club Games marketing director Celia B that is still under embargo, and trust me, I wish I could say more. What I can say is this: trust Yacht Club Games. They know exactly what they're doing. From the pixel-perfect art to the movement and combat, this is shaping up to be something very special. Mira and the Legend of the Jinns. Mira and the Legend of the Jinns is a game I've been following since it was first announced back in March 2024. At the time, it felt too early to include in my most anticipated games of 2025 list, but 2026 feels perfect, and I think it's actually due out pretty soon here. This is a 2D Metroidvania inspired by Moroccan culture and spiritual traditions, with gorgeous pixel art and a strong sense of identity. Exploring deserts, floating islands, while uncovering the secrets of the Jinn makes this one feel truly unique. Mod Retro M64. Mod Retro M64 absolutely belongs here, especially because 2026 also marks 30 years of the Nintendo 64. I was 11 years old when the N64 launched in September of 1996, and I remember that era like it was yesterday. I was a day one owner, and I even got to take one home early in June of 1996, thanks to Jimbo at my local game store Gamers, who let me borrow the Japanese version for the weekend free of charge, and that experience will probably stick with me forever. I also own the Analog 3D, and I'll have a full video on that once I've spent some more time with it. So definitely look forward to reviews of both the Mod Retro M64 and the Analog 3D, because accurate modern ways to experience Nintendo 64 games matter, especially for an anniversary like this. Mortal Shell 2. Mortal Shell 2 looks like a massive evolution of the original. This standalone sequel expands everything: deeper combat, more freedom, and a compact open world designed to respect your time while rewarding exploration. The Shell system returns with more depth, letting you possess fallen warriors and adapt your playstyle on the fly. With stamina-free combat and a heavier emphasis on mastery, this looks like it could seriously stand out in the Souls-like space. Ontos. Ontos immediately has my attention because it comes from the creators of Soma. This is a sci-fi adventure set in a fractured reality where you investigate a mysterious moon hotel tied to your father's strange legacy. Frictional Games is known for psychological storytelling that sticks with you, and everything about this setup feels unsettling in the right way. If this leans into exponential horror the way Soma did, this could be unforgettable. Parasite Mutant. Parasite Mutant immediately caught my attention because it feels like a modern spiritual successor to Parasite Eve. This is a survival horror RPG built around an active time chain system, following Agent Nova as she investigates a mysterious abandoned island city. The sci-fi horror tone, conspiracy-driven story, and RPG mechanics feel like a throwback to a style of game that we just don't see enough of anymore. So I am cautiously optimistic and genuinely excited to see how this one turns out. Planet of Lana 2: Children of the Leaf. Planet of Lana 2 is an easy inclusion for me after how strong the original was. This sequel expands the cinematic puzzle platforming formula with a much bigger sci-fi narrative, deeper emotional stakes, and a continued focus on Lana and her bond with Mew. The art direction, atmosphere, and storytelling already feel special, and this looks like a more ambitious follow-up that's not afraid to push the scale of its world and themes. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time Remake. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time Remake has had a long, very public road, and honestly, that makes me more hopeful than worried at this point. Ubisoft restarting development under Ubisoft Montreal tells me they want to get this right. The original is an all-time classic, and the core mechanics, time manipulation, platforming, and puzzling still hold up incredibly well. If this remake stays faithful while modernizing what needs it, it could finally give this legendary game the return it deserves. Quartet. Quartet is a turn-based RPG that I've been keeping a close eye on, especially as it works its way towards its console release. The structure is quite clever. 4 separate stories you can play in any order and gradually intertwining into a much larger narrative. With 8 playable characters, fast party swapping, and a combat system that rewards smart AP management, this looks deeper the more you dig into it. So I'm really hoping to see this one hit consoles sooner rather than later. I'm thinking it's going to be Q1 2026, but again, this is one of those games that I've been following on PC and decided to wait on this one for it to hit Nintendo Switch. Resonance: A Plague Tale Legacy. Resonance immediately had my attention because I've played and loved both of the A Plague Tale games. This prequel shifts focus to Sophia and explores a much more myth-driven story while keeping that same heavy atmosphere and emotional weight. Set years before Requiem, it blends combat, exploration, and ancient mystery in a way that feels fresh but still familiar. If you're invested in this universe, this feels like a meaningful expansion rather than a side story. Scott Pilgrim EX. Scott Pilgrim EX looks like Tribute Games going all in once again. This isn't just a beat 'em up, it's a full action adventure with interconnected levels, RPG style upgrades, and co-op play for up to 4 players. The combat is fast, chaotic, and stylish, and having Brian Lee O'Malley involved in a brand new story is a huge plus. If you love the original Scott Pilgrim game, this feels like a true evolution, not just a repeat, and it kind of gives me River City Ransom vibes, which is a really good thing. Star Wars Galactic Racer. Star Wars Galactic Racer instantly hooked me because I grew up on Star Wars Episode 1 Racer on the Nintendo 64, Dreamcast, and of course in the arcades. This looks like a modern high-speed reinvention built around risk, rivalries, and reputation in an underground racing league. With different classes of repulsor craft and a story-driven campaign, I'm really hoping this leans into speed and chaos and kind of gives me my F-Zero fix. If this nails the sense of velocity, it could be an absolute blast. Tales of Fate. Tales of Fate is a gorgeous 2D action platformer that blends Metroidvania exploration with Souls-like boss fights, which again, this isn't something we see often. The hand-drawn pixel art is beautiful, the world looks massive and interconnected, and the ability to switch between multiple characters with different playstyles adds a real depth. This feels like a passion project packed with systems, secrets, and challenge. If you love difficult but fair action games, this one deserves your attention. The Adventures of Elliot, The Millennium Tales. The Adventures of Elliot completely won me over with its demo. I enjoyed it so much that I did not want it to end, and guys, that doesn't happen very often. I have a lot of games I need to play and review, and I actually really don't play demos very often, but I was very interested in this game, and for me to not want it to end says a lot. That's high praise. This feels to me like a modern day NES Legend of Zelda, and I mean that in the best way possible. Built by Team Asano, the blend of HD 2D visuals and action-focused combat feels fantastic. I'm hoping this game lands in early 2026, but whenever it does, I expect this game to be very special. The Blood of Dawn Walker. The Blood of Dawn Walker looks incredibly ambitious. Set in a dark 14th century Europe overrun by vampires, this open-world action RPG lets you play as a character split between humanity by day and monstrous power by night. The choice-driven narrative, time pressure, and dual gameplay systems makes this feel bold and different. This is clearly the start of a new saga for Bandai Namco, and one that's not afraid to take risk. Speaking of vampires, the Duskbloods. The Duskbloods is exciting for a lot of reasons. First off, I love From Software games, and this is a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive, which is pretty wild. The last time From Software did an exclusive like this, we got the PlayStation 4's Bloodborne, and we all know how well that turned out. On top of that, there are strong rumors that this has been in development since at least 2019, with the longest prototyping phase of any From Software game yet. The premise is also insane. Bloodsworn warriors pulled across time into a twilight of humanity, fighting in a gothic steampunk world for the mythical First Blood in a time-bending PvPvE war. Yes, that's a mouthful, but I can't wait to play this game. The Eternal Life of Goldman. The Eternal Life of Goldman is a carryover from my 2025 list, and I've had this pre-ordered at Best Buy since the day it went up, I believe in August or September of 2024. So that's how long I've been waiting. This looks like a modern day DuckTales style platformer, which if you guys know, I love DuckTales on regular Nintendo. This features meticulous, hand-drawn, frame-by-frame animation and a world built around exploration and discovery. You're traveling through a mysterious island on a mission to hunt down a deity that no one has ever seen, upgrading your cane with new abilities as you go, just like Scrooge McDuck and DuckTales. If you miss that classic 8 and 16-bit era platformer magic, this one feels like it's chasing that feeling on purpose. The Transylvania Adventure of Simon Quest. The Transylvania Adventure of Simon Quest has been on my radar since the day it was announced. RetroWare knows how to make the kind of games we grew up loving and make them feel even better today. And Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest is one of my favorite NES games ever, and look, I know I'm in the minority there, that's okay. This feels like a spiritual successor in all the right ways. Dark 8-bit vibes, day and night cycles, mansion crawling, and even sequence breaking encouraged. The premise is also hilarious. Your rival killed Dracula first, so now you're resurrecting him piece by piece just so you can take the glory for yourself. Absolutely love it. Threads of Time. Threads of Time looks like a love letter to classic turn-based RPGs, but with modern ambition behind it. This is a time-traveling adventure where you recruit heroes from different eras, from dinosaurs to far future worlds, all tied to a plot threatening the entire timeline. Does that sound familiar? Possibly like a game called Chrono Trigger? Again, that's what has me excited here. The combat leans into strategic turn-based battles with flashy team combos, and visually it blends retro pixel charm with Unreal Engine 5 environments. If you grew up on the golden era of JRPGs, this feels like it's trying to capture that vibe without feeling stuck in the past. Tides of Annihilation. Tides of Annihilation is an action-adventure inspired by Arthurian legend, but set in a shattered modern London. And that contrast looks pretty awesome. You play as Gwendolyn, fighting to save your family while reality collapses into something mythic and twisted. The coolest hook is the knightly combat system. You command a team of spectral legendary knights and combine their abilities for big cooperative attacks. And the game doesn't stop there. It also features colossal knights roaming the city that you'll battle, climb, and explore like living set pieces. This looks like a big, stylish swing, and I'm 100% here for it. Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis. Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis looks like a massive moment for Lara Croft fans. This is a modern reimagining of her 1996 debut adventure, which, again, let me remind you, that is now 30 years ago. Rebuilt with Unreal Engine 5 visuals, updated gameplay, and new surprises while honoring the spirits of the original. You're still globe-trotting through iconic locations, solving deadly traps, navigating ruins, and hunting the scattered pieces of the Scion, but now with modern design and presentation. If you wanted a true Lara's origin comeback done at a high level, this is the kind of reintroduction that could hit hard. Valor Mortis. Valor Mortis instantly stood out to me. It's a first-person action Souls-like from the creators of Ghost Runner, and fun fact, I was an officially credited game tester for Ghost Runner 2. This one has a killer hook. You rise from death as a former soldier in Napoleon's army, wield supernatural powers, and fight horrifying monsters while unraveling a conspiracy threatening humanity. It looks dark, different, and not like the usual Fantasy Souls formula. That originality in itself is exactly why it's on this list. Wolfhound. Wolfhound looks ridiculously cool. This is a sci-fi World War II Metroidvania where you play as a one-man army infiltrating a mysterious Axis base in the Bermuda Triangle, uncovering twisted experiments and wreaking havoc across a deadly island. The vibe immediately reminded me of Guns of Fury, which I reviewed on the channel last year, and that's a compliment because that game was awesome. If this delivers on that mix of action, exploration, and retro attitude, Wolfhound could be a real sleeper hit. Professor Layton and the New World of Steam. Professor Layton and the New World of Steam is an easy addition because the Layton series is timeless, literally and figuratively, with over 18 million units sold worldwide. This franchise has built its legacy on clever puzzles, charming storytelling, and that cozy brain game vibe that's hard to replace. This new entry puts Layton and Luke in a fresh setting with new mysteries and epic riddles to solve. If you've missed this series, this feels like the return people have been waiting for. Pokemon Champions. Pokemon Champions is a big deal because it's designed specifically around competitive battling. This is a battle-focused game coming to Switch and mobile, built around single and double battles with deep strategy, type moves, abilities, the whole deal. It also connects with Pokemon Home, meaning trainers can bring Pokemon in from past games, customize builds, and jump into ranked or casual matches. If this truly becomes the official competitive hub for the Pokemon World Championships, that is a major shift, and it could make competitive Pokemon more accessible than ever. Samurai Pizza Cats Blast from the Past. Samurai Pizza Cats was one of the biggest surprise announcements of 2025, and of course it came completely out of nowhere. This is a 2D action RPG based on the classic 90s cartoon, a long dormant IP that a lot of us 80s and 90s kids grew up with. Honestly, when I first heard about it, I expected a beat 'em up, but finding out that it's an action RPG made me even more excited. I love my beat 'em ups, but RPGs are my favorite genre. You'll be able to swap between the Pizza Cats using their unique abilities, level them up, and explore Little Tokyo while stopping the Big Cheese once and for all. It's being developed by the team behind Jitsu Squad and is targeting all major platforms in 2026. Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition Nintendo Switch 2. Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition coming to Nintendo Switch 2 is a huge deal for me. I actually platinumed Fallout 4 on PlayStation 4, so that should tell you how much I loved this game. Bethesda's Switch 2 trailer is outputting 60 frames per second, and based on that footage, my guess is this is built off the PS5 and Xbox Series XS next-gen version. This is the first time Fallout has ever appeared on a Nintendo console as far as mainline games are concerned, not Fallout Shelter, and it's coming as the complete package. The full game, all DLC, and over 150 Creation Club items, including new quests, weapons, and content. If you've never played Fallout, this is an amazing place to start, and being able to play Fallout 4 on the go on Switch 2 is going to be absolutely awesome, and that's why I am planning to jump back in. Splatoon Raiders. Splatoon Raiders is a fully confirmed single-player adventure, and it's one of the most interesting evolutions we've seen from a Nintendo IP. This is a standalone, story-driven experience built specifically for Nintendo Switch 2, shifting the focus away from what it's known for, which is competitive multiplayer, and toward exploration, crafting, and narrative. It's a chance to dive deeper into the Splatoon universe in a way the mainline games simply haven't done before. Splatoon has always had an incredible world building beneath the surface, and Raiders finally puts that front and center. If you've ever wanted a more focused solo Splatoon experience, this feels like Nintendo delivering exactly that. Monster Hunter Wilds Switch 2 Edition. Monster Hunter Wilds coming to Switch is something I feel very confident about, and it makes all the sense in the world. Monster Hunter Wilds is the next evolution of Capcom's flagship action RPG series, featuring large, dynamic open environments, seamless transitions between hunts, and more immersive ecosystems than ever before. It's a bigger, more ambitious Monster Hunter built for modern hardware, and honestly, Monster Hunter has always been a perfect fit for Nintendo platforms. Monster Hunter Rise absolutely crushed it on Nintendo Switch, and this series naturally shines in handheld play. Jump in for a hunt, suspend, come back later, wash, rinse, repeat. Seeing Monster Hunter Wilds on Switch feels like a no-brainer, and I can't wait to take those next-gen hunts on the go. Final Fantasy XIV Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. Final Fantasy XIV coming to Nintendo Switch 2 is a massive win, both for longtime players and for people who have never touched an MMO before. Final Fantasy XIV is one of the most successful and beloved MMORPGs ever made, with a huge ongoing story, constant updates, and an incredible community. Bringing it to Switch 2 makes perfect sense, especially because this is a game that lends itself beautifully to handheld play. Things like gathering, crafting, side quests, side content, story progression, They're all ideal on the couch or on the go. For existing players, it means more flexibility in how and where you play, and for new players, especially younger ones entering the Nintendo ecosystem, this could be their first real introduction to the MMO genre. If you've ever been curious about Final Fantasy XIV, Switch 2 might be the perfect place to jump in. Parkour. Parkour is one of those games where I saw it once and instantly went, okay, this feels very on brand. You play as Agent Thunder, a secret agent dog who parkours across rooftops, uses gadgets, and takes down villains with style. And look, ThunderStash featuring Agent Thunder, that just feels like destiny. The movement looks incredible, fast, fluid, stylish, and it honestly reminds me of Stray, but amped up. And yes, I'm absolutely biased here. Dogs are cooler than cats. I am a dog person, and this game speaks directly to my soul. Between the stealth, the platforming, which looks really fun, the spy comedy tone, and that smooth parkour movement, parkour just looks like pure fun, and I cannot wait to check this one out. Cronulla's Mansion. Cronulla's Mansion is a true spiritual successor to Maniac Mansion, and this is a game I didn't just cover, I backed it on Kickstarter. What makes Cronulla's Mansion incredibly unique is that it isn't just coming to multiple platforms, it's releasing an entirely different version on NES, Game Boy Color, GBA, Super Nintendo, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Each version has its own visuals, animations, music, and even differences in locations and details. These aren't ports, they're bespoke versions of this same core game. That alone tells you how much care is going into this project. And yes, I backed the tier that includes every single version of the game. That's how excited I am for it. If you love classic point-and-click adventures, quirky humor, and that eerie but fun vibe from the LucasArts era, this absolutely feels like a lost classic brought back to life. And if you want to see it in action right now, I've got a full demo impressions video on the channel where I play multiple versions and break down what makes each one so special. Cronulla's Mansion is one of those rare indie projects that just gets it, and I cannot wait to play the final release. Now, before we wrap this up, I want to touch on a few major anniversaries that are happening in 2026. These aren't confirmed games, but when you've been following the industry as long as I have, you learn to pay attention to timing. And 2026 has some very big milestones that feel impossible to ignore. Castlevania 40th Anniversary. Castlevania turning 40 feels like more than just a milestone, it feels like a setup. Over the last several years, Konami has very intentionally reintroduced this series to new players while welcoming back longtime fans. We got the Castlevania Anniversary Collection in 2019, the Advanced Collection in 2021, and most recently, the Dominus Collection in 2024. That's NES, Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, GBA, TurboGrafx-16, and DS-era Castlevania, and some arcade games, preserved and playable again. To me, that doesn't feel random, it feels like preparation. If there was ever a moment to celebrate Castlevania with something brand new, a 40th anniversary feels like the perfect time. Persona 30th Anniversary. It's honestly wild to say this, but Persona turns 30 years old. Atlus has already kicked things off with brand new anniversary artwork and a dedicated Persona 30th Anniversary website, with the next update arriving January 8th, 2026, which tells me this celebration is just getting started. Persona as an IP is still on an upward trajectory in my opinion. Persona 5 pushed the series fully into the mainstream, and we've already seen that momentum continue with Persona 3 Reload landing on Switch 2 recently. My expectation is that we get meaningful updates on Persona 4 Revival and Persona 6, and I wouldn't be surprised if one of those releases lands as part of the 30th anniversary celebration. I also think Persona 4 Golden, Persona 3 Portable, and Persona 5 Royale are all very much on the table for Switch 2 additions or upgrades. And speaking of Persona, I still fully expect Metaphor ReFantazio to make its way to Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026 as well. 30 years in, and Persona hasn't peaked yet. That's incredibly exciting, guys. Dragon Quest 40th Anniversary. It's honestly, once again, it's hard to believe Dragon Quest is turning 40. This is one of the most important RPG franchises of all time, and we already know Dragon Quest VII Reimagined is coming, which I am beyond excited for, but anniversaries like this usually don't stop at one release. Dragon Quest has always been about legacy, tradition, and evolution, and I fully expect to see more announcements celebrating where this series has been and where it's going next. 40 years is a huge deal, and Dragon Quest deserves a big spotlight. And maybe, just maybe, we finally get an update on Dragon Quest XII. Kid Icarus 40th Anniversary. Kid Icarus is a series that means a lot to me personally. I've owned it since the 80s. I loved Of Myths and Monsters on Game Boy, and absolutely adored Kid Icarus Uprising on the 3DS. That game, in particular, felt like a bold reinvention that still respected the series' roots. So, the big question is, what happens next, if anything? Could we finally see Uprising ported to Switch 2? Could Nintendo surprise us with a brand new Kid Icarus entry? Or maybe something more creative, something I've talked about on the podcast a lot, like a collaboration with Hades 2, which is already a Switch 2 console exclusive and also rooted in Greek mythology. Pit, Dark Pit, and Palituna, those characters would fit perfectly. There are so many exciting possibilities here, and a 40th anniversary feels like the right time to explore them. Metroid 40th Anniversary. Yes, we just got Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and that alone is worth celebrating, but I've been saying since early 2024 that I fully expect Metroid Prime Remastered, along with Prime 2 and Prime 3 to come to Switch 2. Nintendo is trying to invite in a more casual audience with Metroid Prime 4, and many of those players don't even realize it's looked at as more of a standalone adventure. And even for the folks who do know that, a lot of them still want to play Prime 1, 2, and 3 on a modern console. Full Joy-Con mouse controls, HD Rumble 2, better resolution, and frame rate. That's the full experience. Prime 4 may stand on its own, but it's like Rocky 4. Sure, you can jump straight into it, but it's gonna hit a whole lot harder when you've experienced Rocky 1, 2, and 3 first. Pokemon 30th Anniversary. It's honestly wild to say that out loud, but Pokemon turns 30 in 2026. Now, I bought Pokemon Red the day it launched, played it on my Atomic Purple Game Boy Color, and that moment is burned into my memory forever. 30 years later, that still doesn't feel real. I fully expect a big celebration. New mainline Pokemon entries on Nintendo Switch 2 feels like an absolute given, but beyond that, who knows? Remakes, spin-offs, surprises. Pokemon anniversaries tend to go big, so whatever they announce, this is an IP that shaped an entire generation of gamers and continues to, and I'm incredibly excited to see how Nintendo and the Pokemon Company honor that legacy. And one more thing I'll throw out there, I could absolutely see the original Pokemon games making a return in some form. And I'm talking about Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, and maybe even beyond that with other classic handheld entries. If there was ever a perfect time to bring those games back, the 30th anniversary feels like it, especially with the opportunity to have them interact with Pokemon champions. Bringing the series full circle while setting up its competitive future just makes a lot of sense. Now, even after going through all those anniversaries, here's the wild part. We're still barely scratching the surface when it comes to anniversaries in 2026. We've got franchises turning 40, 35, 30, 25, and 20 years old. Series like Sonic the Hedgehog, Metal Slug, Streets of Rage, Crash Bandicoot, Tomb Raider, Ace Attorney, Animal Crossing, Halo, Devil May Cry, Golden Sun, Pikmin, Gears of War, Okami, and so many more. And what's really exciting is that some of these anniversary IPs already have games confirmed for 2026, and they are in this very video, like Halo, Tomb Raider, Fatal Frame, Gothic 1 Remake, and Yoshi. Some franchises will get announcements, some won't. But the point is this: 2026 isn't just stacked with new games, it's stacked with gaming history. And even if a fraction of these anniversaries turn into something special, we are in for an incredible year. And I had to save the biggest anniversary for last, and that is The Legend of Zelda 40th Anniversary. Now, The Legend of Zelda is personal to me. The very first video game I ever bought was The Legend of Zelda on Nintendo for my 5th birthday, and I still own my original 5-screw copy that we bought from Target back in 1989. Zelda is my favorite IP of all time. We know the Zelda movie is coming on May 7th, 2027, which, fun fact, that just so happens to be my birthday. So thank you for that, Nintendo. And please don't change the date, because it's really cool that I get to see that on my 42nd birthday. But what about the games? If you watch the Nintendo Byte podcast, you know I've believed since early 2024 that Ocarina of Time is coming to Nintendo Switch 2 for, honestly, reasons that probably deserve their own video. Now, will that happen? Will it be something else entirely? It's always fun to speculate about the future. But what really matters is enjoying the present, because the truth is, every day is a gift. Yesterday is history, tomorrow a mystery, but today is a gift. That's why they call it the present, but only if we treat it as such. So go play some video games, bookmark this video, and come back to it so you don't miss out on these amazing titles. Dive into your backlog, or if you're looking for something new to play, I've got well over 150 game reviews right here on the channel to help you find your next favorite game. And again, let me know in the comments which games stood out to you, which ones you're most excited for, and if there was anything you learned about today that you hadn't known of before. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future reviews, previews, and coverage across all platforms. And as always, remember, you're never too old to play video games.